kece, gua kece dari lahir. Kece, kece, gua kece dari lahir. Kece, kece. Yeah. Gua kece dari lahir. Ya beginilah udah takdir. Sekali lagi langsung mahir. Bukan sulap, bukan sihir. Lo pakai bling bling banyak biar keren. Lo jungkit balik dari pohon biar keren. Lo geser ke samping, lo pakai celana ketat. Lo pakai baju sepusat biar keren. Tapi gue dari lahir udah keren. Dari lahir udah keren. Gue kece, 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 gue kece.
Momo, aku udah sama Karissa.
Mana itu?
Kamu udah kenal sama Karissa belum? Kenalan dulu.
Karissa.
Ya. Ini Momo udah siap-siapin
Iya,
makanan.
tapi maaf ya Teh, Kak Karissa di sini nggak ada Indonesian food, jadi aku pesannya makan Western.
Oh gitu.
Western kenapa bibirnya masih gitu sih?
Makanan apa ini?
Western. Western. Ini untuk penekanan kalau ini makan Western.
Ngeri banget ya
Iya.
bibirnya ya. Tapi kamu kalau biasanya kalau ke restoran yang dicari makanan Western atau makanan
Iya.
Indonesia?
Indonesia sih aku.
Oh gitu, padahal udah punya restoran makanan Indonesia juga, makanan Betawi ya.
Iya,
Tapi
makanan Betawi benar.
Restoran lain juga tetap ini.
Sebenarnya tergantung mood sih, tapi jujur aku kalau disuruh milih lebih makan Indonesia atau luar, lebih milih Indonesia memang.
Nggak nyangka hidungnya sebangir ini tapi tetap cari yang Indonesia ya. Oke, tapi kalau gini nggak apa-apa ya.
Nggak
Silakan
apa-apa.
silakan
Oke.
sambil
Oke.
disambi.
Kamu ini nggak yang mulai panik kalau ngelihat makanan yang ada keju, ada apa
Enggak
gitu?
sama sekali, aku makan
Oh,
sih
enggak?
teh semuanya, bebas. Ini apa nih?
Ini jus apa?
Tadi itu squishy lychee.
Squishy
Oke.
lychee.
Squishy
Oke,
lychee.
squishy
Kalau yang tadi
lychee.
cappuccino with ice cream.
Sorry,
Top.
wow, with
Cappuccino.
ice cream on top. Oh, udah lumer es krimnya
Iya.
ya. Sambil ngambil-ngambil nggak apa-apa, tapi aku
Oke.
pengen sambil nanya-nanya juga ya.
Iya.
Ajak Izik apa kabar restoranmu ini?
Baik, udah pernah belum sih teh?
Aku belum ke situ.
Mampir dong.
Dia di bukan di Jakarta Selatan ya? Aku tuh di
Jakarta Pusat.
Jakarta Pusat.
Iya,
Oke, nggak
di
apa-apa, kan
jalan-
ada Waze sekarang ya.
Iya, di Jalan Juanda. Dia
Juanda,
tuh
oke.
posisinya tuh di belakangnya Istiqlal.
Oh oke, di belakang
Iya,
Istiqlal.
yang tengahnya ada kali
Iya, iya,
tuh.
iya.
Nah, ya persis di jalan situ, di jalan gede situ.
Oke, kenapa kamu langsung pengen bikin restoran tapi oke makanannya Betawi gitu?
Karena kan di sekitar situ kan juga memang lokasinya memang daerah perkantoran semua kan,
Iya.
pemerintahan gitu. Jadi aku berpikiran emang kalau aku makan siang aku lebih
Nyari Indonesia.
iya kayak nasi,
Iya,
sayur
iya, iya.
asem, ayam goreng, sambel gitu loh. Terus ada ketoprak, gado-gado, sop buntut. Pokoknya
Aku
emang
jadi,
yang
Kepikiran ya
enak
Teh.
tuh
ayo
kayaknya.
dong mampir dong. Teh.
Spesialitinya apa di situ?
Kita soto Betawi, karena kan
Oke,
memang masakan
Betawi
Betawi
ya.
kan. Ada soto Betawi, ada ketoprak, keredok, terus aku lagi test food sih sekarang. Ada Sun nih menu baru, aku mau bikin mie melayang namanya.
Wah.
Jadi penyajiannya mie-nya itu melayang.
Oh ngeri dong aku.
Di atas
Takut kayak mie gaib gitu ya, dia nggak napak gitu kan.
Dia nggak
ngeri
apa
banget
karena
ya.
bener, jadi pas dibawa gitu, garpunya tuh udah di atas gitu. Jadi dia melayang bentuknya.
Gimana pas dibawa?
Penasaran? Ayo
Iya, datang ke
mampir
situ aja
langsung
ya.
ajak Iji.
Ini kalau kayak gini-gini tuh kayak ide-ide makanannya kayak mie melayang atau apa itu dari siapa? Kamu dengan partner-partner lain? Ada partner lain atau ini
Aku
kamu
di
aja sih?
sini bertiga sama ipar aku.
Oke.
Cewek-cewek semua
Oke,
kita
oh,
gitu.
cewek-cewek semua.
Cewek-cewek semua. Terus memang
Ya.
jadi sebenarnya basicnya tuh aku tuh nggak pernah punya usaha bisnis F&B, maksudnya makanan
Iya,
gitu
karena
ya.
rada tantangannya tuh rada ribet juga
Ternyata
tuh. Kan
ya,
restoran
setelah
banyak di
aku
mana-mana
masuk
saingannya.
dan aku nggak ada restoran backgroundnya, terus aku nggak pernah sekolah ambil ekonomi.
Iya.
Tiba-tiba aku harus megang suatu restoran karena aku emang pengen
Oke.
punya bisnis gitu
Oke,
kan. Akhirnya bikin restoran. Ternyata itu aku bener-bener terjun sendiri dari mulai pas dia persiapannya, terus openingnya, terus pembukuannya,
Oh.
terus stok makanannya, semua manajemennya
Jadi
aku yang
kamu
pegang
semua?
sendiri. Aku pegang sendiri, jadi aku benar-benar terjun langsung. Aku belajar dari yang nggak ngerti apa-apa sampai akhirnya sekarang aku udah lumayan mengerti lah.
Iya,
Tapi
iya,
masih
iya.
belajar terus ya sekarang.
Iya,
Gitu.
apa formulanya supaya ya selain makanannya enak pastinya, tapi kan restoran makanan enak tuh banyak di mana-mana. Dan kalau kita di Jakarta atau di luar Jakarta, tiap berapa nggak usah berapa meter, nggak kilometer, berapa sentimeter dari gedung sebelah itu udah ada restoran, dempet.
Bener.
Formulanya apa sih selain makanan enak itu? Apa rahasianya kira-kira?
Ya yang pasti
menurut
makanan
kamu?
udah pasti harus enak
Harus.
supaya orang balik lagi
Iya,
ya.
bener.
Terus kalau aku di tempat aku itu aku menyediakan kita tuh 2,5 lantai. Jadi aku
Oke.
menyediakan untuk ruang meeting sih Teh, untuk daerah situ.
Oh, karena
jadi
Oh,
perkantoran.
iya, jadi bisa ke
jadi
situ.
bisa jadi satu.
Iya, benar.
Iya, terus kita menyediakan ruang meeting, terus lantai atas kita juga lumayan besar. Jadi kita bisa pakai untuk nikahan.
Oh iya, oh, aku udah nikah tapinya. Jadi dia nikahnya di nikahan, kok teteh mau lagi aku udah 2
Enggak,
kali.
ulang tahun anak.
Oh iya,
Bisa
ulang tahun
juga.
anak.
Kemarin
Iya.
anakku ulang tahun di situ.
Oh, iya.
Dan sekarang juga lumayan banyak yang bikin acara ulang tahun anak, arisan, terus acara gathering kantor,
Jadi harus
kayak gitu.
nyiapin space yang
Buffet,
pas untuk
bisa
dan
untuk
set
buffet
buffetnya juga.
Iya, dan set buffet.
Bicara soal anak, kamu ini semua restoran ngurus sendiri. Terus
Iya.
ada Quenzino bener kan?
Quenzino benar.
Quenzino juga. Nah itu gimana itu kalau kamu kerja ke restoran apa dia dibawa kan masih kecil juga.
Nah kadang-kadang dia suka ikut karena dia ada favoritnya. Setiap kali aku ke ajak ijik dia minta dibawain kue talam, ada kue khas Betawi
Iya,
juga
iya,
gitu,
aku
kue
tahu
talam.
kue
Dia
talam.
suka banget si
gitu?
kue talam itu.
Wow, oke.
Sampai dia tiba-tiba pernah suatu hari waktu itu tiba-tiba aku dapat laporan dari suster aku nganter sekolah. Dia bilang, Bu tadi Quenzi bilang dia mau bagi-bagi kue talam ajak ijik ke teman-teman sekolahnya.
Oh dia sudah gembar-gembor duluan tanpa bilang. Wow. Aku tenang, aku bawain. Berapa? Perlu gak? Gitu kayaknya Quenzino ya.
Saking kesukaan dia,
Berapa sih dia sekarang?
dia nursery 3,5
masih
tahun.
Play school berarti nursery.
Iya, iya,
Oke.
iya. Saking dia suka, dia pengen orang lain tuh ngerasain juga yang dia suka itu.
Banget dia marketing
pengen
ya
share.
kayaknya.
Iya,
Bisa jadi
bagus.
marketing
Aku
yang
bilang,
bagus loh.
Quenzi bilang mama dulu dong besok-besok. Jadi mama bisa siapin dulu
Tapi
gitu.
mama siapin?
Akhirnya mama siapin,
Mama
supaya
siapin.
dia bisa juga bagi ke teman-temannya.
Oh, lucu ya, tapi itu susah loh, maksudnya nggak gampang jadi career woman, ngurusin bisnis sendiri, tapi terus ngurus anak juga. Kayaknya kamu harus cukup bangga sama diri sendiri, banyak kualitas baik dalam dirimu.
Asik.
Aduh,
Yang
amin
kita
ya.
pengen tahu.
Nah,
Nah,
ini dia Teh.
kita bermain ya.
Apa nih?
Silakan tuliskan 10 kualitas terbaik yang kamu banggakan ya. Pokoknya nggak usah takut aku dicap narsis atau apa. Kita kan
Oke.
harus cinta diri sendiri.
Betul.
Kita harus
Oke.
menonjolkan sisi positif kan.
Oke.
10 aja nggak usah kalimat
ampun,
panjang-panjang.
10.
Cuma
Oke.
Aja.
satu
Satu
kata.
Kata aja,
Kata ya.
kan jujur.
Kayak misalnya kalau
baik.
Mumu apa?
Kalau aku cantik, mempesona,
Iya.
rajin menabung.
Iya, itu rajin menabung 2 kata.
Oke, menabung,
Iya.
rajin, solehah, gitu-gitu kan. Jadi
Oh iya, kamu banyak banget ya.
Banyak
Oke.
banget.
Tapi karena kita durasinya terbatas banget, kita juga pengen kenal Karisa lebih dekat lagi. Jadi
Sambil nulis, sambil
kualitas,
ngobrol.
sambil
Oke.
jawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan
Oke.
dari kita ya. Waktunya cuma 1 menit ya.
Oke.
Karena mepet banget nih, kita sibuk banget, aku banyak banget arisannya. Oke, waktunya sudah siap ya. Mulai dari sekarang go. Hal tergila yang pernah kamu lakukan selama hidupmu?
Hah?
sambil nulis.
Oh,
Iya,
sambil
sambil
nulis
nulis.
ya? Oke,
Iya.
jadi nggak boleh mikir ya di
Nggak
sini?
boleh.
Oh boleh, boleh.
Oh, aku pernah, tau gak sih, aku pernah dulu tuh pacaran. Aku pernah naik motor dari Jakarta sampai ke Bali.
Geng motor gitu, tur
Iya,
maksudnya
touring
sama
maksudnya, tapi aku
komunitas motor.
ikutan di situ.
Kamu ikut?
Iya.
Enggak, motornya dikirim kemana terus ini?
Enggak, bener-bener ikut dari Jakarta sampai ke Bali. Kayaknya itu hal yang paling gila yang
Kamu
aku
nggak
pernah.
masuk angin?
Iya.
Enggak loh.
Nggak
Serius?
bolong-bolong.
Seger banget dan
Demi cinta kali, anginnya kagak masuk gitu.
sambil ditulis gitu.
Iya, nggak pegel gitu?
pegel sih ya.
Ya karena nggak pegel gini kali, jadi nggak pegel ya. Oke. Apa hal yang paling membuat kamu merasa bahagia hari ini? Oh, waktu udah habis. Ya.
Terus gimana dong?
Ya. Kami harus mengambil semua uang yang Anda punya di dompetnya. Kita lihat ya. Detail. Kayaknya memang kalau punya bisnis sendiri harus detail ya.
Harus.
Segala sesuatunya, semua rincian keuangan kan kamu kerjain juga
Banget,
ya.
iya.
Oke, jadi dari dulu memang udah orangnya udah perfectionist ya, berarti detail ya.
Iya.
Oh iya, ada ini perfectionist. Ini suka bikin suami kamu pusing nggak skala detailmu dan perfectionismu? Atau dia
Mungkin
justru
iya,
bilang suka?
kalau aku karena orangnya tuh detail banget, kayak ini gimana, itu gimana, sedangkan suamiku tuh orang yang kayak
Santai aja.
udahlah gampang,
Sama kayak
udahlah
suami aku juga.
gampang,
Iya.
nggak gampang, ini tuh harus gimana
Bener,
gitu
aku suka
kan.
gebrak meja kalau udah kayak gitu, dia gampang-gampangin.
Gimana tuh ya Teh ya?
Nggak
Kayak mungkin
apa-apa.
itu emang gitu
Nggak,
kan.
yang salah mereka.
Kita
Mereka yang
yang-
terlalu
kita
santai,
bener ya?
kita yang sempurna.
Perempuan
Oke.
selalu benar ya?
Bener,
Oke.
jujur. Gak pernah bohong sedikit pun, satu pun.
Enggak sih kayaknya ya.
Oh ya?
Bohong ngapain bohong-bohong?
Tapi jujur itu salah satu yang memang ya pada akhirnya lebih enak jujur. Kalau
Iya.
bohong semua jadi nutup-nutup usaha bohong
Iya,
ya.
iya.
Setia. Oh gitu. Tidak pernah mendoakan pacar dulu?
Enggak deh kayaknya.
Enggak ya?
Enggak pernah sih.
Jangan dong, udah punya anak juga, udah punya suami. Oke, kita lanjut lagi nanti ya.
Iya Teteh, tapi kalau aku lihat Kak Karisa ya dia kan career woman juga, ngurus anak juga. Aku ngatanya pusing gitu.
Kenapa
Pengen
pusing?
liburan gitu.
Pengen liburan? Oh, nanti abis ini kita ngomongin liburan.
Iya.
Kayaknya baru pulang dari liburan juga kan kemarin ya, ke Australia kalau nggak salah
iya,
ya.
iya,
Oh
iya,
ya,
benar.
kita ngomongin itu abis ini ya. Mau? Aku nggak bisa bayarin, sorry ya. Iklan dulu ya sebentar.
Dari lahir udah keren, dari lahir udah keren. Gue kece.
Masih dengan Mama Kece Karissa Putri di sini dan kemarin itu baru pulang dari liburan. Nah, ini Momo lagi pengen liburan ke Australia. Nah, nanya-nanya dulu nih. Kemarin kan liburan bawa Quenzino juga kan?
Kemarin bawa Quenzi. Kemarin
Katanya mau
sebenarnya nonton si
nonton
Justin
konser.
Bieber. Justin Bieber nonton di sana, terus udah sih si Quenzi ikut. Tapi ternyata kelas yang aku pergi itu memang nggak bisa bawa anak kecil.
Ya, jadi udah ke sana nggak jadi ke
Enggak,
konser?
emang dari awal Quenzi nggak ikut nonton sih, Teh. Aku beli tiketnya
memang.
udah lama.
Oh, I see. Oke.
Tapi pas semakin deket waktunya dia pengen dia ikut karena dia suka memang lagu-lagu Justin Bieber.
Ah, masa aku dengar dia suka itu The Beatles apa The Bee Gees?
Itu
apa dia
juga
lagu-lagu
Beatles,
lama?
Bee Gees dia suka.
Tuh, also loh, Quincy ini 3,5 tahun atau
3,5
35
tahun.
Lucu banget kan bisa suka The
3,5
Beatles
tahun.
sama.
Karena bapaknya tuh suka Beatles. Jadi sering mendengarkan
Biasa
Beatles.
mendengerin.
Tapi begitu dia dengerin sih ada satu lagu Beatles judulnya Obladi Oblada.
Oh iya.
Terus dia
Aku
langsung
nggak tahu
minta
lagu itu,
diulang-ulang
sorry.
terus.
Oh.
Minta diulang-ulang terus lagunya. Terus udah gitu kalau The Bee Gees itu dia suka gara-gara kemarin sempat ada perform di sekolahnya dia, lagunya The Bee Gees. Jadi kayak minta terus diulang, terus dia dance gitu-gitu.
Itu lagu favoritnya guru-gurunya kayaknya ya, biar bisa dengerin lagunya, anak-anaknya disuruh perform pakai lagu itu. Terus gimana kemarin di Australia? Dia aman-aman aja jalan sama Quenzi yang umur 3,5 tahun ini nyaman-nyaman aja.
Aman sih, aman, nyaman. Jadi pertama aku datang nonton sama teman-teman aku.
Oke.
Temen aku pada balik karena pada punya anak kan, anaknya nggak ikut. Mereka pada balik, terus pas mereka balik keluargaku nyusul. Jadi kayak mama, kakakku, anak-anaknya semua nyusul.
Oh seru dong jadinya.
Seru, dia ada saudara-saudaranya. Terus kita pergi, karena kan dia emang suka tuh sesuatu yang alam, kebuka, binatang gitu-gitu kan Teh.
Oh di sana tempatnya ya,
Tempatnya.
bener-bener dia bisa lari-lari. Kemana kemarin?
Kemarin sempet nggak ke Melbourne.
Oh, yang di Melbourne, oke.
Jadi ke zoo-nya tuh lumayan jauh. Jadi ada zoo yang di tengahnya, Melbourne Zoo ada. Cuman waktu itu udah pernah Quenzi. Jadi aku sekarang ngambil yang jauh itu sekitar 2 jam.
Dia nggak capek?
Di mobil udah lumayan jauh sih ya, 2 jam.
bobo pasti.
Tidur
Iya,
sih
iya,
untungnya,
iya.
jadi begitu nyampe sana dia segar.
Dia seger. Tuh, nanti kalau punya anak bisa dibawa ke situ. Rajata juga seneng sih ke kebun binatang. Tapi kemarin temanku ada yang ke Melbourne untuk nonton Justin Bieber, dia bawa anaknya masuk.
Emang ada kelas yang boleh bawa
Ada
anak?
yang kelas-kelas
Iya,
kamu nggak
kelas aku
boleh
nggak
ya.
boleh, pas
Terus kemarin keluarga besar, ini kalau jalan-jalan, apalagi ke luar negeri, kan ada ribet ya. Semua kepala pengen kesini, pengen kesini, pengen kesini.
Iya.
Itu gimana tuh? Kalian kemana aja? Nyiasatinnya gimana biar semuanya dapat apa yang mereka mau?
biasanya aku kalau misalnya pergi rame-rame, aku bikin itinerary dari Jakarta.
Oh itu penting ya.
Itu penting, jadi udah tahu di sana nggak berubah-berubah
Iya,
kan.
iya,
Tapi
oke.
kemarin sama
ini
kakakku,
karena detail dan
detail.
perfectionist dia yang bikin pasti ya.
nah gara-gara kemarin aku nggak sempat buat, jadi begitu nyampe sana kakakku baru pada datang. Oke, kita duduk di meja bikin nih. Maksudnya jangan sampai akhirnya kebolak-balik kayak ya kesini nggak jadi deh, pindah ke sana karena kan banyak orang,
Iya,
jadi ribet
bener,
gitu kan. Jadi kita ke si Hills pertama itu pas begitu mereka nyampe aku ke ada Sandfielda Market, itu kayak Sunday Market.
Oh iya.
Jadi
itu
hanya
penting.
ada hanya hari Minggu aja
Iya,
kan
iya,
Teh,
iya.
ada stall-stall kecil
Iya,
gitu.
iya, iya.
Jual pernak-pernik, makanan segala macam. Udah, setelah itu Quenzi naik tram. Dia suka banget naik tram Teh.
Iya, iya,
Jadi pengen
nyenengin
tiap
ya.
hari naik tram. Karena kalau di sini kan dia ngeliat kereta biasa kan. Kalau
Iya.
itu tram di tengah-tengah jalan tuh ada tram. Jadi itu dia ngeliatnya benar-benar kayak, "Ma, naik tram." Setiap hari minta naik tram.
Naik tram, oke.
Terus habis itu kita ke zoo itu 2 jam. Terus aku nyetir.
Oh kamu di sana nyetir?
Aku di sana nyetir
Oh,
2
wow.
jam. Kakakku juga nyetir. Jadi kita 2 mobil rame-rame ke situ. Begitu nyampe zoo, main segala macam, ketemu. Nah yang aku pilih itu adalah zoo-nya khusus binatang-binatang Australia. Jadi memang
oke.
khusus Australia nggak ada binatang
Kanguru.
lain. Kanguru, koala, bener wombat, coklat tipus gitu-gitu. Dan itu jarang dilihat
Ih, seru, dan
kan.
dia Quincy berani sama koala kan,
Iya,
boleh
seneng banget.
pegang kalau nggak salah ya?
Boleh pegang,
Boleh,
boleh
oke.
pegang. Dan itu seru banget dan dia senang. Jadi sekalian belajar si koala makannya apa, daun
Eukaliptus.
gitu-gitu
Oh.
kan.
Fix banget.
Sekalian belajar.
Aduh, aku fix banget pengen ke Australia teh. Teteh
Nggak bisa sekarang, kita lagi syuting.
Ya udah, besok.
Nggak bisa besok juga. Gimana kalau ke ini aja? Aku tuh punya teman yang kebetulan aja beliau tuh lagi tugas sebagai duta besar, tapi friend.
Oke.
Friend banget.
Malah kayaknya family deh.
Serius teh. Teh ayo teh.
Di
Namanya-
mana teh?
Duta
Sini
besar
apa? Australia?
dia nggak
Di
Australia
sini?
untuk Indonesia. Jadi rumahnya di sekitar Jakarta Pusat ini. Mau jalan-jalan ke situ?
mau.
Om Paul Grigson.
Oh iya.
Yeah.
Mau teh.
You have to practice your English.
It's okay. No problem.
No problem ya.
Oh,
Oke, kita
of
jalan-jalan ke situ deh. Karissa, thank you so much sudah
Thank
datang ke
you.
sini. Salam buat
Iya,
Pensi, salam buat
dan
suami ya.
juga,
Aku
iya.
datangnya nanti ke ajak ijik deh ya.
Bener ya, mampir ya.
Bener ya, thank you sayang.
Terima kasih Kak Karissa.
Oke, sekarang langsung aja kalian juga boleh ikutnya jalan-jalan ke rumah Bapak Paul Grigson, Duta Besar Australia untuk Indonesia. Yuk.
Dari lahir udah keren, dari lahir udah keren. Gua kece.
Ini rumah temanku nih,
Temen teteh.
pamanku sih.
Oh, paman.
Ini rumahnya Bapak Paul Grigson, Duta Besar Australia ya untuk Indonesia.
Oh my god, I can't believe it.
Oh my God, iya. Kamu harus bisa berbahasa
Yes,
Inggris
yes.
ya.
I will try, I will try.
Sebentar. Aduh sakit. Pintunya
Saya kan
tebel
tebel.
amat ya. Pak Paul,
Excuse
Om
me.
Paul.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, how
Very
are
good to see you.
I'm good too.
Come on in.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good,
Welcome
okay.
to the house.
Are you?
Please come on.
Oh, I feel like I'm in Australia already with all these things.
Yes, we're very lucky we have art from Australia, Indigenous art.
Indigenous art.
Indigenous art.
That's right.
That's a batik that was designed by an Australian artist
Okay.
and drawn for us by an Indonesian artist.
Oh, right. So it's collaboration.
It's a
Both
collaboration.
artists. Okay.
So Indonesian batik,
Right.
done by an Australian artist.
Okay. What is this? Do this have any meaning?
These are totem poles
Totem poles.
from the Northern Territory, the northern part of Australia.
Okay.
So the Aboriginal artist who drew the batik,
Okay.
this is his father's artwork.
Oh, wow.
So we have a family connection.
You have
in
a
the-
family
in the-
connection.
in the foyer. So
Okay, so we just thought we stopped by. We were in the neighborhood
Well,
and
you're-
see how you are. Haven't seen you for a long time.
That's
Aku
right.
biasa manggilnya Om Paul.
Om
Kita
Paul.
ada sedikit hubungan keluarga.
Hubungan keluarga.
We are relative from because my family they went to Australia and then met his family and they met and now we're here.
Looks like so far.
And ya far sih, jauh
Far
sih
sih.
relatifnya,
Yeah, yeah.
tapi ya.
So and your timing is perfect
Oh, ya?
okay.
because I'm about to start cooking some food.
Oh, Om
So-
Paul ini jago masak because cooking is one of your passions.
I love cooking. I'm very lucky. My wife and my daughter are very good cooks, so I try and keep up. So let's see what I can cook for you today.
Oh, good.
Kita diajak masak,
now
guys.
it's only 9 o'clock, but we're hungry any time of the day. So okay.
I'll cook you something very Australian.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
Australian.
Okay.
Shall we go this way?
Yes, yes.
Come on
okay.
through.
Can wait.
God.
So come on into the kitchen.
Oh, kitchennya besar ya.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky. The house has a very good kitchen. So I do some cooking down here, but I have to say I'm very lucky. I have a cook who works for me. He's worked here for a long time.
Okay.
And
You
I
like
think-
Indonesian food?
I like Indonesian food
Okay.
very much. She cooks great Indonesian food, and I eat too much of it.
Have you learned any Indonesian food at all? Cooking?
I don't cook too much Indonesian
Okay,
food
it's
because
a lot of
Ibu Sumis is Ibu Sumis is so good. Why would I try
All
myself?
right. Ibu yang cook di sini bisa masak juga, Indonesia, jadi ngapain juga. Okay. So what do we have here?
So I thought I'd cook two dishes for you today.
Okay. Oh.
The first is we're going to use mussels.
Okay, kerang ya. Kerang
Kerang.
hijau. Okay.
And the trick with mussels is when you buy them at the market, always make sure that they're closed.
Oh, okay, has to be closed.
Has to be closed. These are open because we've cleaned them already.
Right.
So make sure that they're closed. This is very easy to cook, this
Okay.
dish. This is very good if you're young and you want to impress your parents-in-law.
Oh, right,
Yeah, you could
okay.
cook
What
this
if you're not so young? It's also good to impress my husband.
It could be very good to impress your
My
husband.
husband likes
This is
this.
this is very easy to cook.
Okay.
So all we do is you take some garlic, a little bit of garlic,
Okay,
already chopped,
Already chopped.
and some thyme.
Okay,
So which is
thyme.
all been. This one's dry.
Dry.
So it's very simple. So you take a big pot like this, You put some olive oil on the bottom.
Okay. Oh.
I always use Australian olive oil.
Okay.
But use a good quality olive oil. And you, medium heat.
Okay, it's already on right.
Medium heat.
Kita harus beli panci sebesar itu ya kayaknya ya.
And then you put a little bit of garlic in.
Okay. How come the garlic looks like it's been blended
Mashed
together?
up, so this helps it cook a little bit faster.
Oh, I see. How do you do this? You chop it?
You chop it and then you mash it through a garlic press.
Oh, I see. Oh, pakai garlic.
Through a garlic press. So you chop it up. So I usually cook with garlic like that.
Like this chopped
Like
one?
chopped.
Oh, okay, I see.
But today, because I've got
Faster.
guests, do it faster.
Ini baru sekali loh kita dimasakin sama Bapak Duta Besar ya.
So you put, and then for thyme, I'd probably put half of that in.
Oh, half of that? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
half, so put quite a lot.
Gives a
Just
lot
like
of
this.
good taste.
Yeah, a lot of good taste.
Right.
So you let that cook for a little bit,
Okay.
stir it up a bit.
Ini pas banget loh, soalnya kalau nggak salah Australia ini lagi ada kampanye pariwisatanya Aussie banget, right?
Yeah, Aussie
You
banget.
have that Aussie
We
banget.
do. So this year we've got a program at the embassy,
Right.
which is we're calling Aussie Banget.
And every month you have different themes.
Aussie Banget. And every month we have a different theme. So we've done education and tourism. This month we're doing food.
April,
April is food,
Oh,
so
pas
that's my April will be my favourite month, I think,
Yeah, my
because
favourite.
food is always good.
Oh, but then you also have music,
We'll
right?
do dance. We'll do music. We'll do film.
Okay.
So we've done film. We have a big film festival that we run each year now.
Okay.
We run the festival in January. And we encourage Indonesian filmmakers to participate too. So it's not just for Australian film.
Okay.
So what a lot of people don't know is that in Australia there are very good film schools, and many Indonesian students have studied at film school.
My ex-husband went to the one in Sydney.
There you go.
Yeah,
so that's very good. So film and fashion design.
And fashion design, I
So
heard.
fashion design.
So what
that's
happens
very...
when your campaign for Aussie Banget, like April is actually a month for food, culinary. Does
Yeah.
that mean when we go to Australia, we eat free food?
Well, you get good food.
Oh, good food.
You get good food.
Oh, that's
whether it's
good.
free, I don't know, but you get good food. So after the garlic's cooked for a couple of minutes,
All right.
like
So
that,
you just wait till you can
smell
smell garlic,
perfect.
right?
You know exactly
Okay.
right. As soon as you
That's
smell
good.
the garlic, you know that it's cooked.
What do you call this? What do you call this dish? Do you
Well,
have a special
I have a
name for
silly
it?
name for it.
Okay.
So I call this Chris Hemsworth special
Why do you call it? Why do you
because it
call it?
has
What's the same?
lots of muscles.
Oh, karena ada muscle, kerang, otot. Oh yeah, okay.
So in English, as you know, muscles
Right.
are one word,
Yes.
and this is the other word.
The
So
other
I call
word.
this the Chris
Okay.
Hemsworth special.
Plesetannya Aussie ya, muscle ya.
Yeah, it's very easy. You just chip them in,
Okay.
and you'll hear the
Should we
sizzle.
mix it or?
Yeah, you mix it up. So you'll hear the sizzle, which was the water from the mussels.
Oh right, okay.
And so mussels have a very salty taste.
Right, yeah.
So you don't need to add salt.
Oh, nggak perlu garam ya. Okay.
So you stir it through. So yeah, as I was saying, it's film school and fashion in Australia.
Fashion, yeah.
So Australia has some very good fashion schools.
Right.
And there's a large number of emerging Indonesian designers who've studied fashion in Australia. Peggy Hartanto, for instance.
Peggy Hartanto, oh, now she's worldwide already.
So she's an Australian alumni. She's one of our favourite alumni.
Oh, yeah.
But there are a number of designers who've studied in Australia. So I think in Australia and Indonesia, there's big opportunities in film and fashion.
There's a lot of good schools and it's so nearby. Nggak terlalu jauh jadi bisa sama keluarga. So we have a lot of numbers of students.
We do.
Indonesian
So
students,
we're very lucky in Australia. More Indonesian students study in Australia than anywhere else.
That's true, yeah.
So we're number one, and
Yeah.
we're very proud of that because we have great alumni,
Okay.
and Indonesian students in Australia are so successful.
Right.
They do very well at university. If you're a student in Australia, you're allowed to work.
Right.
And Indonesian students always find jobs. They're
Yeah,
very popular
right,
with
right.
employees.
That is
and as you
true.
say, it's close, so families visit. So
My cousin, he went to school in Melbourne. Now he works there at one of the TV stations
Oh,
there,
very good.
and he loves it. He's
Yeah.
like, I think I cannot think of anywhere else to live. So when
Yes,
too?
I want to get a scholarship in Melbourne.
Oh.
I have to apply with scholarship for my bachelor
Yeah.
degree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, very
But
good.
I have to pass from high school graduate.
Yeah.
So I want to work in here first, and then I want to go to Australia for
Apply
my
scholarship.
education.
Well, you should do that. We're very lucky. We have very strong connections
Yeah,
between
yeah.
Indonesia and Australia in
I feel
education.
it.
Right.
And in all sorts of areas, you know, not only science, but in the creative areas,
In the
not only
art,
engineering, in architecture,
Yeah,
so it's wonderful.
everything.
So
Okay.
after you've cooked your mussels for a couple of minutes, give them one last stir, and then you pour into the bottom some, so this is wine. If you don't want to use wine for this dish, because not
Right.
everybody drinks,
Drinks, yeah.
you can use fish stock.
Oh, fish stock. Oh,
So you can replace
okay.
this with fish stock.
Kaldu ikan ya berarti
So
ya.
the only suggestion I'd make is don't make it too strong.
Oh,
Because the
okay,
mussels are
okay. It's
already very salty.
Yeah, right.
So if you don't like to drink wine or you don't drink wine, you can use fish stock.
Okay,
and that
fish
works
stock.
just as well.
How long have you had this passion for cooking since you were very young? I mean, your daughter is only 11, she's already cooking.
Yeah, no, well, Australia, it's so easy to cook because the ingredients are so
It's all-
fresh.
And fresh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I really don't cook much that's complicated.
Yeah.
So I try and cook dishes that are easy because when you work or you're at university, you know, you're very busy, so you
Right.
don't have a lot of time.
Right.
So I'm always looking for things that are easy to cook,
Easy to make.
but look good.
Yeah,
so-
and healthy also.
And healthy. So
Yeah.
I think with, you know, ingredients like mussels, you know, you buy fresh seafood in Indonesia and then add some good ingredients from other countries.
Yeah.
That makes
It can be.
makes it very, very easy.
Well,
So-
what is a bush tucker?
So bush tucker, that's
Bush
you
tucker.
do know
Yeah.
Australia very well,
It's,
don't you?
Yeah.
So tucker is an old-fashioned word for food.
Tucker is an old-fashioned word
For
for
food.
Okay.
So in Australia, older Australians used to talk about their tucker, and all they meant really was their food.
Their food, their
food.
meals, their dishes.
So tucker is the old-fashioned word for food, and bush is what we call the country, the rural
Right.
areas.
Okay.
So when you talk about
Perdesaan.
yeah, so when you
Desa.
talk about the Australian bush, you're talking about the regional areas. When you talk about tucker, you're talking about food. So this is country food. So
Country food,
it's
okay.
indigenous Australian food.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
so you put your mussels on,
Okay.
and then you just put the lid on, and you let it steam.
You let it steam.
You
How
let it
long do you
steam.
let it steam?
About 7 minutes.
Oh, 7 minutes.
7
okay.
minutes, and then it's done.
Dari lahir udah keren, dari lahir udah keren. Gue kece.
So, Bapak Pol ini lagi mau bikin dish kedua juga. Tadi udah ada kerang
Kerang
hijau
hijau.
ya. Ini sekarang
Maskol.
So now we're going to cook hati ayam.
hati ayam. Oh, sehat.
in pasta.
Okay.
So this is very easy to cook too. So go to the supermarket, buy livers that are very pink,
Oh, harus
very
yang masih
pink,
pink. Oke.
and then cut away anything that's white. And then you should put a little bit. You take a pan,
Oke.
put a little bit of butter, and then you put, you know, I like lots of butter.
Oh, oke.
So the mussels dish is very good for you.
Uh-huh.
This is not so.
Oh, but hati ayam kan sehat juga.
So you put the
kan?
butter in,
Oke.
and you
a lot
let
of
it melt.
butter.
Yep, that's a lot of butter.
Okay.
So you just let that melt for a minute. That'll take a little bit.
All right.
And then I use a pasta. So Australia makes its own pasta.
I know this brand.
San Remo pasta.
Right.
So this was started in Australia in 1930s
Oh, okay.
by an Italian migrant.
Okay.
The reason it's such good quality is because of the wheat.
Oh.
So Australian wheat, they
gitu,
turn it
okay.
into flour,
Okay.
and they make a very good quality
Yeah,
pasta.
yeah, yeah. Kalau nggak salah the Italians also take this pasta.
They do. So
Italians
this
eat
this
that.
goes to more than 30 countries around the world,
Okay.
including Italy.
Wah, oke.
So,
Di Italia juga banyak mereka.
So we'll just try and get the heat up here a bit.
Do you cook every weekend?
I try to if I have time.
Oh,
Which is
wow.
not always the case, but there we go.
Does your daughter ask you to make, like your 11-year-old daughter, she asks you to make something?
Well, she's a
She has
better
a favorite.
cook than me.
Really?
So she cooks for me. I'm very lucky. So she can do all sorts of dishes. She does like an Indian curry.
She
She
does
makes
Indian
her
food.
own gelato.
Oh.
So she makes a very clever gelato from fruit and from yogurt. She does cookies and cakes. So she's very clever.
Maybe
so,
they should come here this weekend also.
So she's very clever. And she's always teaching herself from
Tutorial from the internet,
YouTube and Instagram, and
wow.
so she's very, very creative. So I try and I cook when I can, but with my daughter and my wife and Ibu Sumi, it's a competition to get into the kitchen because everybody likes to cook. So, and the good thing about these two dishes together is you can use the same ingredients.
Oh, okay.
So again, you can use some thyme, throw the thyme in, lots of thyme. And because I'm cooking for some Indonesian guests, I'll put in a lot of pepper. Make it hot, make it peppery.
You should put cabai rawit maybe.
Maybe make it. Well, I'll put some chili flakes in the mussels for you.
Oh, thank you.
To make that
Do
make
you
that
take
hot.
spicy food also?
I do like spicy food.
A lot
so
of Australian food are spicy also.
I think with an increase in migration in Australia over the last 50 years, we have a very diverse cuisine.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of Australians like their food spicy.
Spicy also.
That's right.
Okay.
So once your butter starts to heat up, you just tip all these in.
Okay.
Like that.
Oh, di oseng-oseng ya.
Ditumis.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and then
ditumis.
you just keep moving them around, let them colour up. And Australians and Indonesians have in common, Australians like offal. So in Australia it's a gourmet dish. So for instance,
Gourmet,
ox tongue.
Oh iya,
The tongue,
lidah.
lidah.
Yeah.
Lidah sapi.
Lidah is gourmet.
Yeah, in Australia is a very gourmet dish. And beef cheeks.
Oh iya, pipinya
There,
sapi.
so in Australia,
okay.
it's very, everybody wants beef cheeks. So the best beef rendang I ever had, the best rendang I ever had was made very traditional Indonesian style with Australian beef cheeks.
Oh.
It was very soft.
Never tasted
It was
that.
delicious. It was delicious. So you cook these through. This won't take long.
Okay.
Smelly so good.
Smells so good.
So good. I like the smell.
Ini cook? Bisa masak?
No.
No.
Ini gampang, this is
Iya.
easy.
So you cook those away like that.
But how do you know the mussels cooked? I mean,
So the
we
mussels-
cannot overcook mussels also, right? Or
You were better cooking them longer than shorter to make sure they're cooked
They're
through.
cooked through.
And when they're cooked, they'll
because
change.
they get hard when they're
They'll
overcooked.
change colour.
Oh, change color, so you don't get the color.
Oh,
So a mussel, before it's cooked, is much bigger.
it's not hot for me.
Before it's cooked, it's much bigger.
And see how it's turned orange and it's
Yeah,
small?
yeah,
That
right.
means it's cooked.
That means it's done.
That
oh,
means
I
it's cooked.
see.
So, and if you, it's cooked. So
Okay.
it's not too rubbery
Yeah.
and it's delicious. So you don't want to overcook these
Right.
because they will go a bit rubbery.
Yeah, okay.
So we just turn those down while we wait for the pasta.
Matiin pastanya.
Now, when you get, when the mussels are done, which they are now, you take a big piece of butter. This is my secret ingredient. Put butter in everything.
Okay, not so secret anymore now.
Not
yeah.
so secret anymore. And you just put butter in like that.
Oh, so you put the butter last, yeah?
Butter last so it doesn't burn.
Oh, okay.
And then you just stir it through
Sampai cair ya berarti butter.
because that will make the broth very nice. The
Very-
soup that comes with them.
And it has to be unsalted butter because I noticed this is unsalted.
Yeah, for cooking I try and use unsalted. So when I have a sandwich, I prefer salted butter. For cooking unsalted because then I can add salt
Salt to
if
the-
I need to. And some things are a little bit salty, like the mussels, so you
Right.
don't want to make them too salty.
You always try to use Australian, you know, all
When I
the-
can. So Australia, you'll find in a lot of supermarkets sort of
It's easy to get
good,
here.
good quality ingredients,
Right.
particularly dairy.
Dairy.
So Victoria, the state of Victoria
Yeah.
produces about 80% of all Australia's dairy.
Oh, good.
And you'll see Australian butter, for instance, is much more yellow than European butter because our cows are grass-fed.
Yeah, okay.
So when you grass-feed a cow, the butter is much more yellow. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
call them happy cows.
Happy.
Because they're outside in the
They,
fields.
we took a drive inland to Great Ocean Road.
Oh, beautiful
Yeah,
part of
oh
Australia.
yeah, we saw all the cows semuanya dibuat kayak lukisan gitu, like paintings.
So when you see
Okay.
the livers are cooked,
Oh, yeah.
so
Okay.
still a little bit pink, but not too cooked
So
through.
this is perfect.
Perfect. That's perfect. And then you just pour the cream through,
Tadi apa tadi?
like
Cream.
that. Cream?
Krim
Cream,
aja,
yeah.
krim untuk
So,
rasa.
you know, some people like it a lot of cream, some people like not so much.
Okay, so it depends on your
Yeah,
preference.
on your taste, and the cream will
Uh-huh.
loosen up a little bit.
But we have to keep stirring because creamy they get.
In English, it coagulates. It,
Yeah.
lumps up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lumps.
up. So you do that, and you let it sit for a moment or two, just like that.
Okay, but no fire, yeah?
Oh, the fire is very low.
Very
Oh,
low.
ada
Very
low.
low.
Oh, okay.
Very low. You can do it like this. So you lift and you hold, let some of the water fall away. And you move it into the
Dimasukin.
pan.
Dioseng-oseng lagi.
Yeah, you move it into the pan.
Ditubis lagi.
Oseng.
Oseng-oseng.
Here we go. Then you stir it through like this.
What do you call this dish? Does it have a...
This one I call, this is a
Silly
silly
name
name. This is called inside out chicken.
The
Because it's the
inside-
inside of the chicken. It's now out.
outside.
And then as the last step for both dishes, you take
Okay.
some chopped parsley
Parsley, okay.
and you put parsley in both.
Like green.
Lots of parsley. Parsley is always very good.
Yeah.
And then you stir that through the mussels. And then for my Indonesian guests, for the mussels, you take some chili flakes.
Biar pedes.
Take some chili flakes.
Iya, karena kan nggak lucu. We cannot eat mussel with the cabai rawit ya,
Iya.
jadi flakes.
And then you put the chili flakes through. And we're done.
We're done. Oh.
We're done.
Sekarang kita tinggal makan dong ya. Oke, kita makan ya. Kita siap-siap meja makan dulu ke sana ya. Tetap di sini, jangan kemana-mana.
Dari lahir udah keren, dari lahir udah keren. Gua kece.
Sudah dimasakin, kita ini baru pertama kali loh. This is the first time ever been cooked by ambassador ya. Thank you so much. So can we
My pleasure.
try?
Please start. You have to be very honest and tell me what you think.
Okay.
Because I never use a recipe.
Chris Hemsworth
Chris Hemsworth special.
special
Lots
mussel.
of mussels.
Okay,
Now,
lots
the
of
good thing
mussel.
about this dish is you use your fingers.
Oh, boleh
Makes it
pakai itu
much
aja
easier.
ya. Oke.
Makes it much easier.
It's
Oke. Mussel become smaller ya kalau udah di
Yeah.
ini.
And change color.
ini pakai tangan nggak boleh?
Boleh pakai tangan aja. I'm so sorry. I'm
Yeah.
Of
Sundanese. I already washed my ini hands.
Yeah,
so I'm
no
gonna-
problem. And then we just put the shell in there.
Enak banget.
So what do you think?
I love it. It's good. I can
Little
go
bit
through
salty.
this.
A little bit salty.
It's not too salty. I mean, it's just right. Yeah.
Indonesian people like tasty salt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I
Can we
think
just dip it in the
you can.
broth?
And when you finish the mussels, you can eat the broth as a soup.
Mm.
So it should taste a little bit buttery and a little bit salty.
Oh iya, karena tadi dikasih butter ya. Oh my
Jadi
goodness.
nggak perlu garam ya teh?
So,
It's so good.
It's enough.
so like Indonesia, seafood in Australia is very popular.
Very fresh too.
Very
I had
popular.
oysters there when we were. Oh, so,
So
good.
Australia has a type of oyster of its own called the Sydney rock oyster, which is a small, very delicious oyster,
Right.
but also Pacific oysters. So oysters from Australia are very high quality, and like Indonesians, Australians love udang, love prawns,
Udang, yeah,
love
yeah, yeah.
shrimp. And in Australia we have them both wild and
And
farmed. And farmed. So
I
we,
want to try
both-
pasta.
we put a little bit of Australian Parmesan cheese on it for you.
Oke, ada parmesan cheese-nya.
Cheese, yeah.
Kita coba
And,
pakai hati ayam.
So Australian dairy is always good quality. So is that good?
Very good.
Serius ya?
The best taste.
Pasta.
Very,
Yeah.
We should come here every day ya.
very,
We should come here every day.
very easy to make. Very easy to make.
Cuma ini enak banget teh.
So Australia has a big tradition of Italian cooking. We had a big wave of migrants from Italy. And migrants in Australia have been such an important part of our country,
Oh, okay.
including for food.
Right.
So we're very lucky in Australia. You can get many, many different cuisines, and it's
Oh,
down
you
to
are
the
so
big
right.
rate
Yes.
of migration,
Yes.
which is very good for the country.
I cannot remember. I mean, I'm not just saying this because this month we're talking. The apa namanya, the theme for the campaign tourism Aussie banget itu kuliner. But I've been to Australia a few times and I don't think I've ever tasted anything bad. Nggak pernah. It's always good food.
So I think over the last few years, the quality of Australian food and coffee has become much more even. So you could always get good food and coffee in Australia, but now you find it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. So what I think is interesting for visitors from places like Indonesia is you can do your own exploring. You don't all have to go to the same place. You can be the first person to discover somewhere.
Right.
And
So, yeah.
I was going to say, and that's one of the interesting parts about travel in Australia. Every time one of my Indonesian friends come back, they'll tell me about a cafe they found that I haven't heard of.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's a very
there's
nice thing.
plenty of like little cafes, very relaxed ambience, family friendly, and the food is always so good. But what I want to know also, this whole year for the Aussie Banget, every month you have different theme.
We do.
Like for May, I think you have music for May. So what's going to be happening in May?
So when we do, for our music month, this is our experimental month. So I think there are very strong connections between Australia and Indonesia in fashion. Very strong connections in film. And I think there's a big opportunity in music.
Right.
So Indonesians, I think, particularly the younger element of the community, are very keen on J-pop.
K-pop, K-pop, yeah, Japanese.
So Australia has a very strong tradition of two types of music. One is pop music, what you and I would describe as pop music, but also indie music.
Oh, okay.
So the indie music scene in Australia is very strong.
Right.
So we're looking for opportunities to encourage people to think about working with Australians in music. So we'll be looking to sponsor a couple of Australian singers, a couple of Indonesian singers to maybe either do a concert at the same time or perhaps together. So it's our experimental month. We haven't done much in the music space before, but I think it's very promising. So I have a Twitter feed, and every Friday on my Twitter account I put up a piece of music from Australia that nobody's heard before.
Oh, okay.
From a piece of indie music, and it's very popular.
Very
popular.
Okay.
So we're very keen to encourage much more work on the music scene.
Yeah, yeah.
And for our alumni, once a year we do a big concert. And we try and have a special guest from Indonesia each year. So last year it was the singer Tulus.
Oh yeah, okay.
And we had a dinner this year, and we had the Baca L. She came and sang for us. So we try and encourage Indonesian and Australian music.
Countries to know about each other's music and collaborate.
And again, I think, you know, it's one of those areas where not only is it good because it's a partnership, but it's a career in which many people are interested. So we're talking about fashion, you know, you see lots of jobs in fashion. Music is the same, I think. Lots of people are interested in music. So we'll keep encouraging music as a new form of cooperation between us. Much more interesting, I think, than government to government, to be honest.
We're looking forward to that month. It should be fun, ya, bulan Mei, ya.
Must be fun. Okay.
What can I do in Australia that I can't do anywhere else? And so you can climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Sydney Harbour.
You climb to the top
This is
of
the
the bridge.
foremost in Indonesia. So foremost.
Yeah. So you can climb to the top of Sydney Harbour Bridge. You can go to Broome in Western Australia and ride camels on the beach. They'll take you on a camel trek.
Right. You can go skiing.
You can ski, so you can learn to surf. So in many places, the Gold Coast, Sydney, Melbourne, you can learn to surf. You can learn to ski. If you go between June and September, we have good skiing in Australia, and you see very good schools, so you can learn to ski. You can learn to scuba dive.
Okay, wow.
You could go to the Great Barrier Reef in the north of Queensland.
Wow, this is why Australians are so sporty. They can do sport anywhere.
Yeah, they can. So you could learn to scuba dive. So lots of interesting places. If you're interested in food tourism, you could go to Tasmania or South Australia. These are smaller states which are very easy to move around, so you can do a lot in a little bit of time.
You can go to Margaret River.
Okay.
Margaret River is a beautiful place, north
good
of Perth.
food also.
North of Perth.
Okay. We heard that you also like to travel, right? Around Indonesia.
I do.
Just
Yes,
recently you went to the makam Wali Songo
I
in
did.
Java. Itu kan Wali Songo semua tahu ini sejarah Islam yang kental banget di Indonesia. How was that?
That was very interesting for me. So in my time here, I've tried to work very hard to connect with the Indonesian community. Not just government, not just business, but people in the community. So I've tried to go to universities, pesantren, madrasah, but what I have been doing is visiting mosques. So I've been to almost 50 mosques.
Right.
And I decided to do the Wali Songo pilgrimage. So I've been to all the graves, all the tombs,
Sunan ya.
to Sunan, and it was very, very interesting, I have to say. I thought you saw Indonesia as it was, very tolerant, very moderate.
Right.
and very welcoming. So I'm Catholic, so I'm not Muslim.
Yeah.
My family grew up Catholics, but in every place I went, I was very impressed by how welcoming the people were. So for me, that was a great insight into Indonesian culture and Indonesian religious practice.
Even I have not been. Udah pernah kamu ke Jawa, ke makam-makam yang
Kalau kan emang
sunan-sunan?
asalnya Jawa.
Tapi udah pernah?
Udah pernah.
Oh,
Itu
udah
jadi
pernah.
study tour in my junior
Oh, study tour
high school,
in, ya.
We have to know about Sunan. Jadi
Yeah,
kita udah harus tahu
sejarahnya.
waktu
Is there anything that can compare to that when we go to Australia? Any kind of history like that?
Well, look, if I was an Indonesian and I visited Australia and you were interested in that kind of history, what most Indonesians don't realise is in each of the state capitals, Perth and Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, are very old mosques.
Right.
And they have very old architecture. So it's very interesting to go and see them. So the oldest mosque in Australia is 1860.
Oh.
So a long time ago. Australia has about 175 mosques. And the original mosque, it looks like a hut, like a pondok, in the middle of the countryside.
Oh, I see.
So
And
very,
it's still
still
Okay.
there.
Oh,
Very,
okay.
very interesting.
Maybe
So-
next time I stop going to eat so much in Australia and start visiting those historical sites. Om Paul, terima kasih loh. Thank you so much. Kita di sini belajar tentang Aussie banget, campaign mereka untuk pariwisata, dimasakin juga. Ada Chris Hemsworth di atas meja ini sama kita ya, luar biasa. Ada pasta juga, ada kopi. Can we stay here for the weekend?
You're always very welcome.
Kita bisa nginep di sini ya.
Always.
We want to try your daughter's baking.
Yes, we'll have to send you some of her biscuits.
Terima kasih banget, kita sudah tahu
Terima kasih.
banyak informasi tentang kampanye pariwisata dari Australia, Aussie banget. Jadi kalau mau ke Australia sekarang tinggal di Google aja atau visit ke kedutaan Australia ya. Di situ pasti ada informasinya, tiap bulan mereka punya tema yang beda-beda. Thank you for watching guys, and I'm sorry ya, this is work. This is no pleasure. This is work. I have to keep eating. This is work.
This is work.
I don't
We'll
miss.
call it that if it keeps you
It's
happy.
work. It's work. Oke. Selamat pagi semuanya. Dah. Oke,
guys.
go back to work now.
Okay.
We go back to
We have
work.
to eat.